So this was a crisp November afternoon when I arrived at the Roman Forum, the place where you understand the ancient Rome, and you have to begin here. What you're looking at today is a sprawling archaeological landscape of ruins, columns, temples, and broken marble. But 2000 years ago, this was the beating heart of Roman world. The Romans called it Forum Magnum, the Great Forum. For nearly 1,000 years, this rectangular plaza was the center of public life. Here, markets and courts, trade, everything that was at the heart of Roman Empire uh, was at work here. And this is why this is such an important arena, a site to understand our ancient past. If ancient Rome had a downtown, in fact, this was it. And like Rome itself, the Forum is not just one era frozen in time. It is a place where centuries overlap: monarchy, republic, empire, medieval Rome, and modern, walking through a timeline of civilization. One of the fascinating things about the Forum is that it never disappeared. Even after the fall of Roman Empire, people continue to live, build, and worship here. That's why you occasionally stumble upon medieval structures nestled among the classical ruins. Like one such example is the medieval portico nearby. Its worn stone pillars, you just saw them, show how later builders reused Roman materials, a practice historians call spoiler, where older monuments were recycled into newer ones. And it's also a reminder that Rome was never abandoned. Each generation simply adapted the city it inherited. Walking beneath these arches, you were really standing at the intersection of different centuries. Just ahead stands one of the Forum's most intriguing buildings, the Temple of Romulus. Despite the name, it's not dedicated to Rome's legendary founder Romulus. Instead, it was built in the early 4th century by Emperor Maxentius, likely in honor of his son, who died young. The structure is strikingly circular, made of brick and marble, and what really makes it remarkable are its bronze doors. Nearby are the ruins of Regia, whose name simply means royal house. According to Roman tradition, this was the original residence of Rome's early kings. Later, during the Republic, it became the headquarters of the Pontifex Maximus, the chief priest of Roman religion. This site reminds us that politics and religion in Rome were deeply intertwined. Something that feels surprisingly familiar even today. And that is the interesting part to know and, you know, feel and observe history. So now look at one of the most elegant structures in the Forum, and that is the Temple of Antoninus and Faustina. This is such a majestic structure, and you can see that it was being renovated when I was visiting. This entire Roman Forum area, periodically undergoes really intense restoration and renovation. So this structure was built in 141 CE by Emperor Pius after the death of his wife Faustina the Elder. Like many Roman emperors, He deified her after her death and transforming personal grief into something of a public monument for years to come. All the columns, by the way, are original. Now, walking through the forum is just, the video may be interesting for you, but the experience is unmatched, you know, because this was not just a ceremonial space, it was, you could see the architecture, the styles, and the ambience. But this was also the administrative engine of a great, great empire. And just ahead, once stood, you can see the Temple of Vesta, a circular shrine where the sacred flame of Rome burned continuously. It was tended by the famous Vestal Virgins, priestesses whose role carried uh, uh, enormous prestige and equally strict rules. Thereby is the House of Vestals, a large residence where priestesses lived, complete with gardens and statues. Across the forum is Curia, the Senate House, where Roman senators gathered to debate the fate of the Republic and later the Empire. The forum is also full of monuments celebrating imperial power. One of the most prominent is the Arch of Septimius Severus, built in 203 CE to commemorate the emperor's victories over the Parthians in the east. Triumphal arches like these were essentially built in stone. And you can see I'm just looking at the monuments from a different angle. And nearby are the columns, whatever remains of the Temple of Saturn, one of the oldest temples in Rome. And rising above the forum is the column of Phocas, erected in 608 CE, one of the last monuments added here. So, but the forum never didn't always look like this. Originally, this entire area was a marshy valley between the Palatine and Capitoline hills. Capitoline, I mean, my Italian is next to zero, so please forgive my accent. In the 6th century BC, Roman engineers drained it by building the Cloaca Maxima, one of the earliest large-scale sewer systems of the world. And once the land was drained, monumental buildings gradually filled the space. Two great basilicas once flanked the square, the Basilia Aemilia and the Basilia Julia, massive public buildings used for legal proceedings, business transactions, and civic gatherings. Today, the Roman Forum may look like a field of ruins, but if you pause for a moment and imagine the crowds, the speeches, the processions, the political drama, it comes alive again. This was where emperors displayed their authority, where citizens argued about the future, and where the machinery of one of history's greatest empires once operated. In many ways, the Forum is not just ancient history, it is a place where the idea of a public life, a public square itself was shaped. And I'll be back with another video very soon.